Okay, question number 9. We have to be extra careful for question number 9. Pay attention to the wording. It says 32 is 40% of what number? So let's change that to an equation first. We have 32. The word is means equal. And I have 40%. Let me write it as 40. And the percent, let me use a symbol. The percentage symbol for it. The word of, whenever you see the word of by itself, it means to multiply. Oops, multiply. The word of, when you see the word of by itself, it means to multiply. And I can write this better for you guys. So let me change that. %40 of 40% times what number? So I have like a blank right here. I don't know why I need to put right here so that this number times 40% will produce 32. That's my goal. Okay? And as usual, whenever you want to do calculations with percentage, the first step should always be change the percentage into a decimal. And let's do that. So let me copy down 32 equals to, and 40 it's a whole number, or originally it's a whole number. That implies the decimal point is after the 0. To change a percentage to a decimal, we just take the decimal point, move twice to the left, once, twice, and we get 0.40. And I personally like to have a 0 in the front of the decimal point. If you don't put it, it's okay. Times blank. And then we also mentioned before that the 0 after the decimal point, see the ending 0 right here, this does not matter. So I can actually look at this as 32 equals to 0.4 times blank. And my job is to figure out what that blank is. So that's what the question is asking. Okay, that's what the question is asking. And before I tell you what to do, let's actually take a similar example. All right. So I'm not going to tell you what operation to do right away. Let me ask you this question first. If I have 35, and then if I ask you 35 is equal to 5 times blank, how would you do that question? You may just tell me that the answer is 7, right? Because 5 times 7 is 35. That's really obvious, right? Yes, but just think about how do we get a 7. And the reason that we got a 7 is because we took the 35 and then divide by 5. So this number here, the reason that this is 7, we can look at this as because you take the number 35, put it inside, and then divide by the number outside, which is 5. That's the outside. Getting this number, we can just do 35 divided by 5. And that's how we get 7, right? 7 times 5 is 35, and we get 0. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So that's why the answer right here is 7. And then maybe let me give you guys another question. Let's say 164 is equal to 4 times what? Well, to get this blank, it will be very similar to what we did right here, right? So to get this blank, what we need to do is 164. Let me write down 164. And then divide by 4. And then we can use the long division to work this out. So 164 is the first number, so that should go inside of the division bar, or division symbol. 164. And the 4 is the second number, that goes outside. 4. Again, it's always the first number that goes inside. It's always the first number that goes inside when you are doing the division. Okay, 4 goes into 1 0 times. So you are going to look at this as 4 and 16. 4 goes into 16 4 times. So put a 4, 4 times 4 is 16, and then that's 0, and bring down the 4, right? You subtract. So you bring down the 4, 4 goes into 4 once. 1 times 4 is 4, and you subtract, get 0. The remainder is 0, so that's the answer. So we know the answer right here is 41. Okay? Now, let's come back to this question. How would you do this question now? It's exactly the same setting, isn't it? We have 32, it's equal to a number times blank. We have 32, it's equal to a number times blank. So how can we figure this out? And I think you should guess it already. You should know it already. To figure this out, we're going to do 32 divide by 0.4. And how do we divide? The reason and the answer to that is to use the long division. Okay. I have 32. Let me write the 32 as. Let me put the 32 inside because 32 is the first number. And then I'm dividing 0.4. 0.4 is the second number that goes outside. Okay. We have a whole number divided by a decimal. A whole number divided by a decimal. Usually, okay, the goal is to not to have a decimal number right here. We need to change this to a whole number. And what we can do is, we can move the decimal point once to the right. Right? And we can do that by, the reason that we can do that is, it's like saying you multiply by 10. That's exactly what it means by move the decimal point to the right once. So let me put that down right here. Maybe I should. Yeah, just move the decimal point once to the right. So the new decimal point will be right there. And we will do the same inside. Originally, the 32 is a whole number. So we have a 32 and a point. And when you have a 32 and a point, you can have like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. As many 0 as you would like after the decimal point, right? I write down this many 0s to help me because earlier I moved the decimal point once to the right. I will do the same right here. So move this decimal point once to the right. And now this is my new decimal point. This is where my new decimal point is. And you can ignore this 0, the extra zeros that you don't need. Okay? So, this question turns out to be actually just the same as saying 4 goes outside and then the 32. I mean 320 inside. 320 divided by 4. They are the same. And now to divide, this one is much happier to divide, huh? So let's see. 4 does not go into 3. 4 goes into 32. 8 times. Put on 8. 8 times 32. 8 times 4 is 32. Subtract. 32 minus 32. It's 0. Bring down this 0. 4 goes into 0. 0 times. 0 times 4. It's 0. When you subtract, the remainder is equal to 0. So we know the answer is 80. Okay? Then what this means is 80 times 0.4 is equal to 32. And let me just write down right here. The answer is 80. And look at the answer choices. Again, choice C is 80, while choice D is 800. So you have to be extra careful with the decimal point, the decimal places. Answer is choice C, 80. So 80, and let me write the conclusion. 32 is 40% of 80.